Hello, and hope you're all doing well. My name's Jen. For today, I'm actually quite excited. This was a really lovely aspect that I think comes up quite frequently, and it's an area that is just kind of it was a little bit of a muse for today's meditation. So I've been kind of touching base on different chakras and different meanings for them. This one is kind of a mix between the heart chakra, which is a green, and then the throat chakra, which is communication and which is kind of a darker blue. And today I'd really love to be guided and inspired by the turquoise. That is a combination. It's a beautiful flow between the heart and throat, and it's actually a space I frequently attune myself to when I'm going into my teachings and when I'm offering and kind of tapping into what I need to be picking up, if that's one way of expressing it or one way of explaining just how I do my healings and how I attune myself to others, wherever meet them wherever they are. So turquoise, I want to do a little bit of communication, a little bit of chat around it, and then we're going to go into um, it can be at times it can be quite a deep meditation, so you might need to give yourself a good 5-10 minutes with possibly another 10 minutes afterwards after the video's finished, and I will kind of end it on a very kind of mellow note, not a lot of talking after the meditation, because specifically with this meditation I am feeling you're going to need just a little bit of space. You're going to need some time. Beautiful component of when turquoise, when we and we're balancing this chakra. So when this chakra is balanced, there's almost a very gentle blanket of it's. I'm going to use the word protection, but not protection from anything that's going to harm. It creates a little bit of diffusing between yourself and your energetic field and the realities and sometimes the overbearing realities of the world, people, other people's energy of what's happening around us. So anyway, we'll kind of dive in today. So turquoise in of itself is probably one of my favorite colors for my elevated connections business. It's one that I was really drawn to, and I tend to use within my branding. And it's a calming and very, like I was mentioning before, it's kind of a bluey green combo, and it represents water. Colors and everything to kind of do with water. It's also a direct representation of the Aquarius age, which we happen to be in at the moment. And there's never just within turquoise. I find there's never just one color. It's got many shifts and changes and kind of waves to it, literally. The color of turquoise is represented in many civilizations and many cultures within humans past, within humans leveling up, shall we say. And I think it's a really interesting piece to understand that areas like Atlantis and stuff, they were really drawn to these to not only these colors but the energy that is stored within the turquoise itself. So that's just something I've over the years been really drawn to certain stones and certain colors and certain things, and it changes, but it's interesting how this one has its representation within. And kind of speaking a little bit more about the age of Aquarius, it's also fascinating because the age of Aquarius has a multitude. You can look on the internet, you can feel what it is to you, what it represents, but it actually has this really beautiful multitude of waves. And I get the feeling, I get the sense that it's, we are kind of coming into a second wave within a very beautiful way of expressing that, not within fear, not within any kind of like waves are just natural. We're gonna go up and we're gonna ride waves that bring us higher, and there's exhilaration. There's also a little bit of fear when we create, that metaphorical thought process of getting to the tip of a wave and about to go down. There can be this kind of either excitement and fear, which can be very similar, ultimately being like, we don't know how this next part of the journey is going to go. Um, the second wave within the Aquarius is just, it's all about communication, and it's those communication frequencies that have an open heart and that are expressing themselves with a clear intention and a truth behind them that is never, and I'm really gonna overstate that, never, it's never with the intention of harboring or bringing someone else's truth or their reality into a dismissive or unreal place, but it's just speaking truth while not holding on to others' emotional value or emotional expectations, and also really expressing without trying to control or trying to hold others under your truth. And I think that's a really powerful piece in there. If we can begin to resonate and begin to really cultivate a space that feels that way when we're having our beautiful connections with ourselves and our beautiful connections with others, I think there's some really incredible insight in that area. So within that, it's also a fascinating piece of, the turquoise itself. That color represents the unconscious, which is truly, our conscious mind is it. It is our reality as far as we know it, and it is constantly collecting data. It is constantly collecting, energy and components throughout our life. Yet the unconscious is such a beautiful little, and I'm not even going to say little. That's actually quite the opposite. It's like an expansive, it's an expansive space that there is no limits, and it holds within it, knowledge. It holds the base, the root of knowledge, and um, this is a personal expression, but we're just beginning as a society, as a culture, as we're just beginning to grasp the very beginning of what knowledge is. What does knowledge imply? And I think that's really cool that we're getting to that stage, that we're beginning to ask the questions that aren't just linear. There's so much more to asking questions out there. And when this particular chakra, and again, we're going to be balancing it today, so it's a beautiful thing just to recognize how your energy is perhaps throughout the day or from forward from here, is that it prepares you to make decisions from a place that is creating an understanding within self of self responsibility. So responsibility is a piece that sometimes we avoid for one reason or another, and we could go into that in a really deep, really authentic way. But for today, I'm just encouraging the understanding that when we take self responsibility, we have solid footing. We have solidness in us that, okay, I'm taking responsibility for my own actions, for my own voice, for my own feelings. And I'm not going to superimpose, or I'm not going to impose that on another individual, because ultimately that is being unfair. That's not within the truth. So it leads us really, when let's say everybody did this meditation, and afterwards it leads us to a humanitarian independence, meaning that it allows each of us to be able to be at peace and in a calm state without having to superimpose or without having to force anyone else to be anything different, if that makes sense. So just kind of play and feel into how that is for you. And just even to, I think, to create some aspects of what feels right, we need to visualize, wow, like what would a world be like if there was no superimposing anyone, or no forcing, or no, like it's just good to create. And I know we're human, and we're going through and we're figuring things out, and typically how our patterns have been, which it's really important to recognize that Future patterns always, you know, you can always kind of take a look at what the past patterns have been. But it's, you know, we as humans, we like to make mistakes. That's good. We're, you know, you learn lessons on a really deep level, making the mistakes and getting the emotional, triggering the emotional involvement in the mistakes. And I'm going to use the we, the euphoric we. We all make mistakes. So, however, within this, when this area is balanced, it really brings in that self responsibility. So, promoting, when it's coming forward and that's getting promoted, it promotes and it speaks and directly links us to our intuition. And that comes from a place, yeah, I'm going to say it. It's a place of this psychic scene. So it's a place within the heart, it's a place within the throat, but it's actually, you know, some people represent, and if you're aware of chakras, we have our heart chakra, which is beautiful and incredible and powerful beyond belief, as they all are. Yet we also have several layers. There's another heart space that is it's kind of almost directly behind and ever so slightly down and under. It's interesting. So within this heart space, there's this almost aspect of it's like a transcendental heart, and it brings in this sight, this, I guess, this result of your psychic scene within your green, your heart chakra, combined with this insight, this literally insight within your scene that just makes things make sense, or just brings into clarity. And along with that, it brings these beautiful residual emotions and sensations of inner peace and serenity, of creating space for yourself and for others in a way that everybody has a chance to just be themselves authentically. It brings in, you know, deep and creative healing that you don't need to control or force, and that's not, you know, going to take a massive amount of time. By the way, healing is our own concepts of, you know, this is going to take this long to heal. That's a very human way of going about things in time component. Not to go too far into the wishy-washy, but it's just interesting when we look at the time constraints that we, okay, to do this means we do this. And when we come from, you know, this space, this like Ananda heart space, it's fascinating how that second heart time is not relevant. It heals, and it just heals at the root. It doesn't have to go through all the other avenues to get there. And I respect that. I feel that, and I've worked with that for many years. And so there's like a piece of me really wanting to express or share this teaching with you today that allows those inner messages to come through without a lot of the filters and a lot of the other pieces that we will put on it in our using our mind space. So speaking of mind space, when this particular chakra space is unbalanced, when there is a strong tendency to be, you know, yeah, I guess it would be like not really feeling connected. It has the potential of creating a little bit of an over analytical way of looking at things. So instead of just knowing what the truth and feeling that, it comes more into the mind, and it kind of elevates and brings into that space, over analytical, a little bit of fussy, and, you know, not to put heaviness, but there's some egocentric components, meaning that you find yourself pushing your heart out of the way and just focusing on logic and just focusing on what, you know, you are, like, what is right to you, and you kind of almost disconnect from your intuition, and you are purely just guided, or even just led around by a lot of fear-based programming is the best way that I can express it. And I might be misrepresenting it slightly, but at the same time, the root base there is, yeah, it goes into this place of not feeling calm, of not feeling centered in self. And then, hence, when we're not feeling that way, a lot of the time, what our human emotions will do is they'll try to almost create blame, or they'll try to look outside of themselves to say, oh, you are why I'm feeling this way. This is why I'm doing this. This is, and as soon as you put your emotional state into anything outside of yourself, you are actively choosing to give away your power. And that power is huge. When you give away your power, you give away your peace. And I'm just going to put a pause there to let that kind of digest. It is a choice. It is a peace. You have understanding, and yes, there can be situations. However, is that situation worth your peace? Is it worth giving up and letting someone else take your power away? I think there's a lot of controversy at the moment, so I'm just going to kind of put a pause and put a pin in that thought process. When we begin to go into analytical, when we begin to get fussy and kind of just a lot of projection onto others and their choices or their ideas or their whatever the case may be, and even if they just have a completely different way of being than I am, no one way is better or worse than another. They're just different. It's a beautiful representation, and I'm just going to quickly put this in before I have a beautiful, my spiritual teacher who's she's just incredible. And the last time we connected, it was all about how, we can be all going out for dinner. This is just a metaphor, but we're all going out to dinner to eat pasta. And when we're eating pasta, not everybody has to get the same plate of pasta. You might choose to get a gluten-free pasta, or you might choose to get a Alfredo or a rosé, or and then there's all sorts of different types of pasta itself, and all the additions to that pasta, if you can really get the concept. So there's just so much variety, and yet everyone's going to just enjoy eating together, eating their unique choices that they have made that really feels good for them in this moment. So it's interesting, and I just want to kind of to put a little bit of a metaphor in there that doesn't feel so heavy, but yet still gets the point across that it's okay. Everyone has the opportunity to eat what they feel like eating, and it fills our cup in whatever way. It fills our digestive system. It creates hopefully health and wellness within us, and that's what the ultimate goal is. So when this area, and hopefully this is what's going to happen after meditation, when this area or this frequency is in balance, we no longer experience that emotional pull and tug of war that is occurring, the problems in our relationships with others, and even in our relationship with ourselves. When this area is in balance, we become very, very aware, very, very connected to self. And I think that's a really beautiful place for us to be connecting to, and I hope that it's something that you can kind of bring forward throughout your day from this moment forward, and use often, tune into this often. Just a reminder, of such, these regular teachings are going to be kind of getting transferred over. So take a look at the link in when this post goes on to my Facebook, and just kind of link over to my channel, and keep on getting some more of these teachings, and it's going to be a little bit more expansive as well. So anyway, hope you're enjoying. For today, let's get ourselves started with our meditation. Take off my glasses because that's no longer needed. Activate the hands and allow yourself just to get a little bit of heat here. Create some energy. Take some breaths. Now for today, and again, placement of the hands can be wherever feels right for you. For myself, I'm going to just be connecting my heart space and my throat space. So I'm going to be kind of creating a little bit of touch within the heart and within the throat, and I'm going to do this a couple of times. What I'm doing is I create that sacred touch on my areas as I'm visualizing that energy, just truly kind of almost creating this energetic pull from the throat, from the heart, and it's kind of creating this wonderful little tornado. Let's call it a tornado. This little almost interweaving of the two, and it's creating, and I'm visualizing it as this beautiful turquoise. For me, the turquoise doesn't have any solid shape, as any of my chakras never have solid shape. That's my visualization. Everything has the ability to, in its core, it's much more expansive and it's much more dense in its coloring, and then the color just expands outwards, and I can choose to then allow that expansiveness to really take up space and that color to take up space, or I can choose to bring it in nice and close to me and nice and close to within my chakra space. So play within that within this meditation, and we will actually be going into a little bit of expanding and contracting, and just getting a feel for how that feels for you. So yeah, so I'm gonna, if you want to join in and kind of use that visualization, that's what I'm doing as I'm activating the hands. I'm placing it on my throat, placing it on my heart space, and I'm visualizing bringing those two, creating this turquoise feeling within that secondary. And I call it a secondary. It's not either better or worse. It's just a piece within, and ever so slightly tucked behind, and slightly, I feel, kind of behind and slightly tucked in and under the heart chakra itself. So that green space. Feel out where it feels to you. Maybe it's out here, maybe it's in here, maybe it's down your left arm. Who knows? But feel out where it is, and then if it feels comfortable, guide with it and play with it. For some of you, this might be kind of like, okay, yeah, sure, I can try this out. Have fun with it. As always, my teachings are meant to be, they're just meant to be. So activate those hands. Visualize that turquoise feeling. What does it feel like? How does it, is there a sound that accomplishes it or that connects to it? A sensation, a feeling. Just because I'm a sharer, I'm starting to feel my throat chakra closing up, so I need to do one more time here. Just really making sure that energy is freeing itself, feeling open. Okay. So then getting into a comfortable space, if you need to readjust, getting really comfortable for always, but especially for today. Because as I said, this area, when it's in balance, it really creates this kind of sacred connection with self, and it empowers. So I will leave space after we do the meditation, after I kind of guide you through, to just have some calm and have some quiet for a while. So all I'm doing here is I'm just getting into that space, getting really comfortable. I'm just going to turn off the heater. I can hear it a little bit. All right. So whatever and wherever, whatever posture, whatever position that you're in, taking a few nice, full, deep breaths. Again, you can inhale through the nose or exhale through the mouth. And then bringing your awareness, bringing that space into and around the body. So beginning to feel your chest as it rises and falls. Beginning to notice any physical components of your body that's feeling still activated or feeling like it's needing to be in protective mode. Just simply attuning yourself or positioning your mind's eye into that area of tension or tightness, anything that's holding itself, and just see if you can kind of almost create awareness and then giving it the space to, if it's ready to do so, to relax just a little bit deeper. Relax and let go. Whatever's holding on, whatever you feel you need to hold on to for just this moment in time, allowing it to rest. You can always choose to pick it up after, or you can choose to not pick it up after. At this stage, we're just releasing and relaxing, releasing and relaxing, releasing and relaxing. Now, in your mind's eye, I want you to slowly visualize, again, eyes closed if that feels comfortable and possible for you. Just visualize the color turquoise. What does it feel like in your mind's eye? Does it have sensations? Is it solid or is it fluid? Does it actually have heat or cold associated to it? Is it a bright color or is it just a gentle faded color? And as you dive deeper into it, I want you to begin to explore. And with that explorer's mind, I want you to see, and again, we're taking kind of an overview of this color. I want you to see what would occur if you were to go to its root, to its core essence. So going right into the color of the turquoise, and you might choose or you might visualize it as kind of going down into a turquoise tunnel or cave, or it might be quite expansive, and what you're doing is you're lifting up and into a turquoise cloud. I just want you to begin to go deeper, deeper and lighter, deeper and lighter into that turquoise. Now, as you get deeper in, I want you to allow. There's going to be some allowing here. I want you to allow that beautiful, protective, sometimes overprotective mind to still be here. It's still part of the journey, but I want you to inquire and ask if it can just please go into the back seat, that proverbial back seat. Begin to allow it to take notes and notice things from behind, from the back. Right now, your heart space is going to be taking the driver's space or the driver's seat. And as you inquire, there may be some resistance, and that mind may choose or may want to come back into your forefront, creating stories and tales of what it's noticed and what it's seen. And you can just simply ask, yes, I'd love to hear those stories later. Right now, I just need to focus and I need to bring my 100% awareness on where we are going. And if it feels comfortable for you, a few things that I have found helpful is just to create, to literally manifest within this moment a blanket or something to give the mind a sense of calmness and just give it something to observe and feel itself and give it a turquoise blanket or a turquoise object. And within that gives it an opportunity to itself do its own creation, its own exploration. And as you deeper and sink further into that aqua Aquarius sensation, I want you to allow whatever comes to the surface to just come without judgment. And it can come forward in many unique and different variety of ways. It can come forward as action steps. It can come forward as feelings. It can come forward as visions, or just purely images. Just allowing whatever comes forward. Right now, your mind's eye is just getting so curious. What does this beautiful turquoise color represent for you? You're going to get deeper into the turquoise. You're going to go more into the feels. And each time you go deeper, you allow. You allow a washing, a wave of connection to occur over your physical form, over your energetic body. And each time that wave comes over, you just allow it to come and you go deeper. Deeper into that space. Now you're in the root, or you're in the core essence of that turquoise. And being in the core root, I want you to begin to visualize what it would be like to expand and feel that turquoise reaching out beyond you, reaching out beyond the space that you're in, reaching out beyond the environment that you're in, beyond the town or city. And I want you to take it as expansive as feels comfortable for you. Notice what it feels like to have that color just enfold and expand beyond, being created from your center, from that beautiful space within. And then it's taking space and it's taking up space beyond you. Yet always bringing that feedback, that loop back to your inner knowing, back to your space. So you're beginning, as you expand further out, you're always creating this loop of knowing. So it's expanding out, collecting information from a very beautiful, calm space. That information is coming back to your center as knowing. And it's this beautiful flow. It's expanding out and it's coming back to source. Every time you inhale, it's expanding out. Every time you exhale, it's connecting back to source. letting this flow wash through you. Inhaling, expanding, taking up more space, collecting more inner knowing. And then with each exhale, feeling that flow or that ebb and flow of it coming back to your center, back to your source. And as you continue to do this, I'm going to just encourage some opportunities within this meditation. As you continue to feel this flow expanding out, I want you to just be curious or be mindful of allowing that third eye to pick up any objects, any sensations, feelings, any visions that are coming forward. And we're not going to put a lot of heavy. In fact, we want to keep it very free flow within the observing. But I just want you to notice if anything's bubbling or circulating itself to the surface. And we're just going to bring a very soft and gentle awareness to that. And for some, it might be very kind of aware of what is occurring or what is coming forward. For others, it might be just a simple object or a feeling or a sensation that still has many layers to it. So we're still uncovering it and finding what its root meaning. And we may not find its root meaning within this meditation, but perhaps we will bring forward that vision, that feeling, that opportunity into several meditations. And each time we come into it, we might uncover another layer of that gift, another deeper and more intimate understanding of that gift. Now, if it feels right for you, I want you to go with this flow, still keeping yourself very expansive within this turquoise energy or this turquoise feeling sensation, which is going out and coming back with the ebb and flow of that energy. And I want you to keep it expansive, yet at the same time, if it feels right for you, just bring your hands onto your heart space and feel that connection of the physical form connecting to the physical form. So that hand and all the intricacies, all the energy, all the healing it has, the potential and the power, placing it on that heart space and feeling with deep knowing, deep love and self-respect, that connection of the hand, the physical hand connecting to the physical heart space. What does that feel like for you in this moment? And yet this moment expands out into eternity. This loop, this emotional, creative loop of contact. What does that mean to you? you hold this space, as you hold that intimate and very valuable touch, the touch of self, the touch of the heart space, I want you to feel what it feels like to begin to bring that turquoise back to source, so back to yourself. You're drawing it in. However expansive you've chosen to go, just begin to encourage it, invite it back to your center, back to your space, back to your source. And as you're encouraging and inviting it back, along the way it's collecting, it's observing in its own unique, transformative way, gaining clarity, serenity. It is encouraged and it is excited to bring in the inner knowledge, that inner knowing that it's collected, and bringing it back to you. Just the same as a child is so excited when it collects a rock or a formation or a collection of some sort and brings it back to you to show, and you get to explore that together. You get to embrace that feeling of excitement together. As you bring that color, that formation back to center, just see if it feels more expansive or if it feels denser, if it, how does it feel? Is it feeling different than when it began? Really lean into that feeling, the sensations. As you bring it back to your center, I want you to visualize embracing and thanking, creating so much gratitude for the experience, whatever that may be for today. And then I encourage you to just be in this space for however long feels right for you. You're co-creating this bubble of creation within. And that turquoise feeling is just going to be creating this gentle blanket, this soft or heavy, depending on what you're needing it to be. This blanket is just creating this beautiful, energetic hug over top of you. You're just infusing and you're interlacing yourself and your many elements of who you are, what you are, into this feeling of and kind of embordering this turquoise color within, infusing it, absorbing it. And I want you to co-create here for as long as you need. Take the time, take the space, and just remember to keep that curious, open mind to whatever comes to the surface, whatever comes to your inner knowing or to your awareness. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. Continue in this space.